Hello everyone, this is Jack Jaworski, and today I'm going to tell you how to create a Thinglink plot diagram. And the purpose of this activity is to help you break down a story and its essential elements to understand the different parts of its plot. We'll be using a novel that you've read in class for this activity, and it will help you to understand the story, but also the different parts of a plot, as we mentioned. And in case you aren't familiar with what a plot diagram is, I will be introducing an example here. So here's an example of a Thinglink plot diagram I've created in the past. And as you can see, it's kind of a mountainous shape that is used to describe how a story progresses. Here I've actually got a picture of a mountain, and there's 6 different parts to it. And the first is the exposition. And this is the beginning, and it introduces the characters and the setting of the story. Then, not too long after that, it's the inciting incident, and this is the event that causes the characters to start working towards their goal in the story and introduces the conflict or problem in it. And in between the conflict and the main part, the climax, is the rising action, and this is just the main adventure of the story essentially. And before the main conflict comes to a head at the climax, and this is the most important point in the story. As I said, the problem or the climax in it reaches its highest point. Then there's a falling action after that, and this is the point after the climax, in which the problem is sort of starting to come to an end or resolve itself in some way, or in general things are just being clear of what the outcome is going to be, and the resolution is where the outcome is ultimately decided, whether that be that the heroes succeed or the characters in general succeed in overcoming the conflict or not. That's what it is. It's just the ending, and we find out exactly how the story ends. So in terms of grading, it's mainly going to be focused on accuracy of formatting, but also making sure that you've put in some effort and have correct things to say about each of the different parts of it. There must be 6 parts of the plot that I've mentioned included, and there also needs to be an example for each of them of which scene from your novel or your story fits with the different parts of it. So on this one I chose to do examples from the movie Nosferatu, and so I have images there, and I say which scene in it corresponded. And that brings me to the next part, is you have to have, for both of these, at least a 1 to 2 sentence description on both the definition of the different type of scene and the actual example of it itself. And then you also need to have a picture for each of these examples. You don't necessarily have to have them for the definitions, but you need to have one for each of the examples of the slides. And I also think, if it's possible, you should include at least one video for one of your example scenes. Here I did mine for the ending, because I was able to find it on YouTube for free. And besides that, you should also, be as creative as possible with this, and I will be giving out extra credit points for some creativity. For example, if you created your own images by drawing them out, I can tell you how to do that in a second here, and I would also give points for that for creativity. So to actually get started on this project, you need to go to thinglink.com/edu and log in if you already have an account, but you can also create an account for this on the screen, and I'm going to go ahead and sign up. So now here I am, I'm logged in, and I want to say I recommend that you use just an alternate professional account if you have one. For example, I have a technology account that I use only for doing projects such as this. I tried using a school account and it asked me for an invite code, so that's useful if your teacher has one set up, but if they don't, then just go ahead and log into your own account and set up as creating for projects or education, stuff like that. Because if you set yourself as a student, it'll ask you for an invite code, which your teacher might not always have. Now after all that, we're finally ready to get started. And we'll go ahead and click create. And we'd want to base ours off an image. I'll click that and continue, but we need a base image to start off of. So where can we get this from? Well, what I would use is this site called pixabay.com. And what this site is a bunch of free images you can use. I've already got this pulled up here, but I'll go ahead and search it. You can look up mountain and choose from all different kinds of categories of images, just this general images categories, and you can also look specifically for photos or vector graphics like clip art. That's what I have it pulled up here, illustrations and even videos. And so I'll look for that, and you see all kinds of different good images to use are up here. And the best thing about Pixabay is that all these images, besides the ones when you first search that are at the very top, are all usable for free. As you can see, if you check here on the Pixabay license, it's free for commercial use and there's no attribution required. So you don't even have to cite these. And we can just download it right here. And I think we should pick a decent size. Usually just the one it's on at the beginning is fine. And then we'll go back to our Thinglink site. And since I've downloaded it and I still have it here, I can just drag it and drop it. But you can also easily access it from your files pretty quickly just by looking at the download screen. And we'll continue. Now that we've got our picture, we need to start adding the different elements to it. And first thing you can do is click Edit, and we'll start editing our buttons and different things that explain the different parts of this diagram. And first, I'll click this and scooch over here and click Change Icon. Do whatever icon matches best with what you want, and I'll pick that. And you can choose different colors as well. So for this, why don't we just go for a green button, and this title will be Exposition, and description would be just whatever you choose to define exposition as. So we could say where the characters are introduced as well as the setting the story takes place in. And many other things you can do. You can add a URL if you want to link it to something, and you can also upload an image. Now, let's say I was doing a plot diagram over the Three Little Pigs. Well, I could go over to Pixabay and choose this free download image and go ahead, download that, come back over here and add an image. Which will take just a moment. And I'll go to my downloads. And add it. And so you can choose and click on that to see the full image. And yeah, then you can move this wherever you'd like. So we'll put that right here. And just remember, on your final thing, you'll be making 2 for each section. So we'd have this, and I put the image of what the scene that was happening there, but in your actual one, you can just have your exposition definition and the definition of it, and then you'd make another one and have that one have an image. Okay, so another thing you might want to do is to add images that you've created yourself. And there's a couple ways to do this. The first way, which I think is pretty easy, is if you draw something by hand, you can use the app OneDrive by Microsoft that you can download on your phone and actually scan your image, and it'll save it to your OneDrive, which you can then access on your computer and download to computer. And that way you can simply upload a high quality image that you drew by hand. Another way is you could use an online paint program or any kind of online drawing program. So for instance, I would use Microsoft Paint. And I'll come over here and I've got my drawing, and there's a couple things you can do. You can obviously just download it by saving to your computer and then pulling up for your downloads. But another thing you might want to do if you get into a situation where it's hard to save something or hard to download something is you can use something called the snipping tool. And what this does is it can select a portion of your screen and take a picture of it. And so I'll pull it up, and there's some information about it, and it gives you a shortcut that's coming. So the shortcut is Windows logo key plus Shift plus S, and we'll do that. And it should pull up our snipping section. And so here I will choose the section of image that I want. And I'm trying to be careful and make sure I get it all. And there we go. Now it'll be outed to here. Select it. So you can do final edits on it. You can actually mark on it if you want to write some other stuff in it. And you can, of course, download it and save. So I'll go ahead and save it to my downloads. And I'll call this the inciting incident, because this will be the different button that I want to add this to, and it should be added to our downloads. Now I can go back here, add a tag, and create the inciting incident button. Which, there we go. Inciting incident, and the event that sets the story in motion. And we'll pull up our hand-drawn image. And there you go. And the two other kinds of things that you'd want to add to this plot structure diagram Thinglink are content from other websites as well as videos. And this can be done pretty simply. So let's say I want to add a YouTube video. So I'll go to content from a website and ask for an embed code or a URL. So this is very easy to find. So if you click share on the video that you want, you can copy the link and you can also embed it. And I think embedding is a little more reliable, although it should work the same way for each of them. So I'll just copy that. It's also important to note that you can choose a time for it to start at. So if you want a specific part of the video to be shown to match with the description you gave or the scene that you chose, then you can use that, and that should help a lot. And you can click this button, or you can copy it with the right click as usual. And so I'll paste this into this spot, and it should show up. And I'll go ahead and change this icon to a video, and now there is a video to be shown. And as for links to other websites, this is also incredibly easy. All you need to do to add a link to another website is to go to that website, copy its URL, and then just simply link it where it asks for a URL. And you can add text to it if you want to simplify this. So I can write full 3 pigs story, and title will say text adaptation of the story. Now we've got those typed up, and you can also add an image to that if you would like. And that should work. Go ahead and put that up here by that. And then when you think everything is ready, you can click Done. And go ahead and you create a shareable link for this. To do this, we'll just do some things to finish up. I'll rename this to a name that fits, and we could just say 3 pigs plot diagram, and save it. Then we're going to need to change the privacy settings, and you should either do public or unlisted. With this, anyone can find it and access it, and with this, anyone with a link can access. So I think unlisted is probably better for a school assignment, and you just make sure that you unlist and send that in and save that. And click share. And now there's a couple things you can do. You can publish it to social media, and there's a couple of school things you can do. But you can also share it with a link. And for Canvas discussions, the best thing to do is to use an embed code, and you just copy that, and when you go to a Canvas discussion, you can click the things there that lets you embed text and add it to your discussion. So now to finally embed it, we're going to take our embedded code, copy to our clipboard, we're going to pull up our discussion, and then we will click not link, but insert and embed. And we'll paste our embed code and submit it. And now our Thinglink is in our discussion post. Then you'll add some words to describe whatever the question asks, and that should be it. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching my tutorial. Hopefully if you follow these steps, you'll be able to create a plot structure diagram on Thinglink, no problem. And be sure to check out my first example of a finished project at about a minute into the video, and that should tell you what it should look like. And just follow the steps presented, and you should be fine. Great job everyone, I'm excited to see what you come up with. Have a great rest of your day.